What's up, everybody? We're here live for UFC 234 this Saturday. We got a very good main event. We got a pretty good card. We got Robert Whittaker, man, defending his belt against Calvin Gastelum, probably one of the best fights this year, in my opinion. And Kelvin, how do you like this card?
I love it, man. First pay-per-view of the year, if I'm not mistaken. Doesn't really have that pay-per-view feel, but those top two fights, though, like, I don't know about you, but my eyes are just going to be glued to the screen. Nothing else in the world is going to matter. Those top two fights are fucking awesome, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good prospects, man, in this card. I can't wait to talk about it. Before we talk about it, we got to talk about last week. And yeah, man, I got hammered last week. It was definitely one of my worst nights of all time. I went 0-4, and it's my own fault. I risked too many units. I had 14 units risked, and I lost every one of them. It's my own fault. I'm never gonna play that much again. I think the most I'm ever gonna play is 10 units. But yeah, this card I only have 6 unit risk. But yeah, man. So it is what it is, man. Everyone has these bad nights, and I just have to power through it, and on the next one. Anything you want to say for last card?
Last card, yeah, I went 1-for-1 on my bets with a slight loss, -2 units. I thought I went 2-0. I went back and watched that Tyler Santos fight a couple times. I'm not gonna call it a robbery, but I thought she just landed the harder shots in round two. So, is what it is. Just a small loss. Definitely getting it back this week, man. I got two plays right now. Might add a third, might add a fourth. We'll see. Good card though. Let's do it.
All right, man. So first fight of the night, we got Buren versus Jonathan Martinez, and I'm gonna let you go first, just because to be honest, I didn't really watch a lot of tape on this fight, but yeah, so you go first.
Yeah, this is a real interesting fight, man. This is Luigi's third UFC fight. He came in, actually bet him in his debut against Rolando Dai and lost there. It was only like a 2 unit shot, but man, that was a rough one. But in hindsight, Rolando was a bigger guy. It was a 145er versus a 135er, and now looking at this fight, Luigi's kind of got that thing turned around on him now. Now he's a 135-pounder fighting a 125-pounder. Jonathan Martinez. This guy is he's a little small for the bantamweight division, to say the least. He would be in the flyweight division, but the UFC is getting rid of it, so this is what they gave him. And obviously, we're looking at Buren on paper. This is definitely one of the easier matchups in the bantamweight division for Martinez, man. But honestly, going back and looking through their fights, I actually think Luigi being the stronger, bigger guy and also having that wrestling advantage, I just feel like that's going to be the key to the fight, man. I feel on the feet. So it's funny that his most recent fight against Marlon Chito Vera, that first round was very, very close on the feet. And then in that second round, when Chito actually started like pressuring and going towards him, Buren didn't really have anything on the feet. So when it comes to the striking, Martinez really needs to push forward and do his thing. He can't just sit back and worry about the takedowns. And I don't know, man. I think Buren, I think he gets it done with the wrestling. I think he's just going to be the bigger, stronger guy. And I'll say he wins a 29-28 unanimous decision. So first fight of the night, I am going to go with the underdog. I haven't bet it yet. We'll see what happens, though. I'm not absolutely just fiending to bet Luigi Buren by any means, especially after losing on him in the past. But he's one of my favorite dogs on this card, so let's see what happens. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I do think it's gonna be a close fight. Obviously, Buren has the size advantage for sure. He's a bigger guy. He has a grappling advantage. Martinez, he showed some good moments against Sukumtov. I know Sukumtov, won that fight, but he looked pretty good in the second round. He moved the Factory X, so that's definitely a good change. Before that, he was training at some no-name gym, I think in Texas. So he's gonna be the smaller guy, but he's definitely the better striker for sure. And Buren just got knocked out, in August. I know it was good, 6 months, but he's getting older, man. I think he's at the end of his career, man. And Jonathan Martinez is still, he's pretty old too. He's like a 32-year-old guy, but I think he has a lot left more in the tank, I think, than Buren. So I'm gonna go with Martinez by decision. I think he's gonna keep it on the feet. I do think he will get taken down at times, but I think the majority of the fight's gonna be him in the feet, piecing Buren up. So next fight, we got a fight that I like. We got my boy Jalen Turner versus Calvin Potter, or Callan Potter. And yeah, man. So honestly, I gotta talk about the first thing off the gate. So Jalen Turner, man, all of his losses are by KO. He's definitely chinny. I mean, he's been knocked out 4 times. The Luque fight was super devastating. I mean, damn, man, like he was out cold for a couple minutes, and I mean, he's only been like a 2 or 3 month span. I mean, he just got knocked out, I think, in October, so he's coming back pretty fast, maybe 4 months. But I think he has a huge advantage here on the feet. He's actually, in my opinion, like one of the best prospects at 155 right now, and I think he's a very good striker. Obviously, he has a chin issue. He's been knocked out 4 times, but on the feet, man, he's gonna pick Potter apart. I don't think he's that good in the feet. I think he's slow. I know he has a couple of knockouts, but I mean, on the feet, I think this is a mismatch. If Potter can get him down, it's going to get interesting because he has a good ground game. He could definitely, land some big elbows on Jalen Turner. But I'm not going to be, playing Potter here. It's minus 230, I think, right now for Jalen Turner. I think it's accurate. I think he's going to win the fight. He just, just don't get caught. But he's a first-round finisher for a reason. I think he's going to put him out. Potter's, been knocked out 3 times as well. He's 34. I think he's at the end of his career, and I mean he's 17-7, man. I mean, honestly, both these guys have fought cans, so you can't sit here and say that wow, Potter's fought the way better competition. They both have fought, cans in my opinion. And honestly, Jalen Turner, man, went out there and was winning the fight against Vicente Luque until he did that spinning shit and then got knocked out. So he looked good against Luque for the 3 minutes that I faded him against. I think I bet Luque like 8 units, and we'll talk about Luque next week because I got a bet on him already too. But yeah, man, I just think Turner's in the style on him, man. He's so technical in the feet. He's aggressive, very good pressure, good right hand, good left hand, and I think Potter's is fucked in my opinion. So I got Jalen Turner by first round knockout. What about you?
This is a really interesting fight, man. I'm interested to see how Potter looks in his UFC debut, especially he's here at home in Australia, and it's really interesting because this guy got a real late start into the sport of MMA. He made his pro debut at age 26, and he kind of took some bumps early on. It's funny, he took losses within the first 5 fights of his career. Took losses to 2 UFC veterans, Richard Walsh and Jake Matthews. Then kind of went on another lose 3 out of 4 fights skid. But since then, man, this guy has racked up I believe he's 9-1 or 8-9 in his last 9 or 10 fights. Which, hey, man, at 34 years old, looking at his early fights, comparing him to now, the guy, even at his age, mid-30s, he's probably in his prime now. He's got a ton of fight experience, twice as many fights as Jalen Turner. Thing with Jalen is he probably is the more athletic, stronger, hits harder, way higher ceiling in my opinion. So I am going to favor Jalen Turner to win this fight, but I don't know, man. There is kind of a chin problem. I think if Potter can hang tough and they get a little tired, I think Potter will be pushing the pace a little more deeper into the fight. Maybe he could rock Jalen. He's a lot of sub wins. He could rock Jalen, get a submission. So I don't know. What's the line at now? I know a lot of money has been coming in on Potter, and I kind of agree with that.
Turner's at minus 230.
230. See, I actually line it somewhere like around minus 200 for Turner. So yeah, I'll say Turner knocks him out. I mean, he has been knocked out a few times before. This isn't the most durable guy in the world, but I wouldn't trust Jalen Turner at that price. So I'll pick him first round KO, but don't sleep on Potter. I'm probably gonna have some Potter and DK.
One thing about Turner real quick, all of his wins are by first round finish. So if it gets out of the first round, he could definitely be in trouble for sure. But I mean, the guy's a 6'3" lightweight. He has a huge reach. He's one of the biggest lightweights on the roster, to be honest, man. Look at him at 170, bro. He's bigger than Luque. So I think he's a really big lightweight, and I think he's going to put him away in the first round. So next fight, we got Lando Vannata versus Marco Rosa. I know we're going to have a good debate on this fight. In my opinion, I actually don't think Lando is a jobber by any means. I don't think he's, that good. I do think that, I mean, he could have been a lot better, man. I mean, I feel like after the Ferguson fight, all of us thought he was going to be a top 15 guy. And I think the guy needs to drop to 45 because he's definitely one of the smaller lightweights. I mean, he's taken so many damage. He's a fun fighter. But, yeah, man, I don't think he's, like a jobber. I don't think he's one of the worst guys in the division, dude. The dude, has very good striking. He's really good in the first round, then he gasses. He actually has good grappling too, and I think he's going to have to use that here because if you watch the tape on Rosa, yeah, he's a big guy. He's probably a former welterweight, good striker, but the guy's terrible on the ground. He has no fight IQ. His ground game is non-existent. And Vannata's landed some takedowns in his fights too, so I think he's going to go out there and use the wrestling. And but honestly, man, if he doesn't use the wrestling, I can still see him getting a knockout here. So I got Vannata, man. I got him wherever the fight goes. I think this is a mismatch in my opinion. I think they're giving him a cupcake fight. And he signed a 4-fight deal, so it's not like if he loses this, he's going to get cut. But he's not going to lose this fight. He's going to win this fight and then drop 45, in my opinion. So I got Lando Vannata by first round KO. What about you?
Yeah, you pretty much covered it, man. We don't know a whole lot about Marcos Rosa, except that he's a former kickboxer. He's possibly like one of the biggest guys in the division. It's Anderson Silva's buddy. He has no ground game whatsoever. But the thing is about this fight, man, is I know Lando usually gets a takedown in almost all of his fights. He does have that wrestling. He just never really kind of uses it to his advantage. And I hope for his sakes he goes out there and just wrestles this guy and takes his back and makes it look easy, because this is the kind of guy that you should make it look easy against. But I kind of have a feeling here that this is going to be like a really slow-paced striking match where Lando just can't really pull the trigger, and Marcos is just going to, jab him up, teep kick him in the face, kick his legs, and just kind of bounce around him for a couple rounds. So I actually see this fight possibly playing out really, really closely. I think obviously with Lando, he's got more ways to win, though. He's just, we're talking, he's the much more skilled fighter. It's just based on the way he's been fighting lately, just not to the best of his ability. He's not giving it his all, and I don't know how you can trust a guy like that at minus 350, minus 400, no matter how bad the opponent. And can we talk about how it's possibly like the smallest lightweight in the division versus one of the biggest lightweights in the division? Styles really do make fights, and I can absolutely see this fight playing out like really awkwardly and just slow-paced and bad. So I'm going to go with Lando. He should be rightly favored, but I'll take him by a 29-28 split decision. Don't be surprised if this fight plays out closely. All you Lando bettors might be sweating out there.
Yeah, man, call the next one.
Is it the Kwang Ho Kang fight?
Yeah.
So we got Kwang Ho Kang minus 425 taking on Teruto Ishihara plus 340. Honestly, man, I guess the line is warranted. Teruto is most likely on his way out of the UFC. He's just the guy just never really developed. If you're going out there getting dominated by Gray Maynard in, 2017, 2018, whatever it was, if you're going out there getting dominated by Gray Maynard, that kind of shows a lot. I like that he's at 35 now. He's definitely undersized, but the thing is, he's I don't know, he's probably knockout or bust here for sure. I don't know. I hope Kang actually goes the route of taking this fight to the mat, because if he plays with fire with Teruto Ishihara, the dude does have some power in his hands for the standards of the weight class. So if Kang actually goes in there and gives Teruto the fight that Teruto wants, be careful, man, because as bad as this guy might be these days, he can still crack, and Kang likes to get himself in scrappy fights. So stylistically, just for that reason alone, I would not lay the money on Kang, but you got to favor him, man. Teruto is he's a little sketchy right now, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go with Kang for sure by submission in the second round, I'll say.
Yeah, I got Kang too, but I do think Teruto has a small chance. Teruto's definitely fighting at the division he should have been at his whole life. He's not a featherweight, man. He's a bantamweight, and he's a pretty, decent-sized bantamweight. Kang is definitely one of the biggest bantamweights, so he definitely has a size advantage over Teruto, but Teruto's a more athletic guy. I think he's the better striker. I think he's faster. Just ask Julian Rosa if he has power. The guy, Julian Rosa, is a featherweight, just fought at lightweight, and the guy got knocked out cold against Teruto. So Teruto hits like a truck, man, but, Kang's smart, man. He has very good grappling. He's a brawler in the feet. I think he could have success in the feet versus Teruto, but I think he's going to have to get to the mat, because if he gets to the mat, he has a huge advantage on there. He probably can get a sub pretty quick. Teruto's takedown defense is not that good. His ground game's not that good. Orlando D took this guy down. Come on, man. That guy's one of the biggest jokes of all time. So, yeah, man, I got Kang here. I got him by a sub, but I'm not going to be playing the juice on him at all. So, next fight, we got Kai Kara France versus, I guess, Ruian Paiva. And honestly, man, this guy has a pretty good record, man. I think he's like 18-1 or something like that. And, Kara France doesn't have the best record, but, I think the guy's pretty good, man. He has good striking. He's a brawler. You know, he does get hit a lot in his fights. You know, he's been knocked out a couple times in the past. He got hurt last fight against Pettis. Well, Eli Pettis, whatever his name is. But it was a pretty good fight. But I mean, France definitely, you know, got the better of that fight. I don't know, man. Like, you know, I think he has the better striking here. You know, I don't know if Paiva's gonna go out there and get him down. You know, he's a pretty good striker too. I mean, both these guys are brawlers, so this is probably gonna be one of the best fights tonight. I think the line's a little off. I think it should be going a little closer. You know, I think Paiva's definitely a live dog. I do kind of like him for DraftKings, but I'm gonna have to go with France. I think France is the better fighter, and I think he has the more technical striking. So I'm gonna go with France. He's not gonna get a finish. I think he's gonna get a 29-28 decision. What about you?
Yeah, this is if there's any one fight in the card I need to look a little bit more into, it's probably this one. But yeah, man, hey, that 18-1 record, that's some nice stuff right there. He's only 23 years old, which is crazy too. But thing is, Kai Kara has fought the higher competition. He's actually gone through and made those mistakes, learned from them, and he's on a pretty decent run right now, man. Like, I know he did get hurt in that last fight, but you know he dominated that guy, for being honest. Kai is he's a very good Muay Thai guy. I don't know about other parts of his game. I mean, he's still developing. He's still 25 years old. We'll talk about his training partner Shane Young as well, but I think this is a good one for him, man. I think as long as this fight stays on the feet, Kai is he's gonna bully this kid around on the mat or the on the feet. Honestly, I think this guy needs to get it to the mat. He's actually a pretty decent jiu-jitsu guy. He's got those long limbs. He can make a lot of stuff happen down there. So, yeah, if I'm a Kai Kara's opponent in this fight, I'm trying to go for takedowns because it's not going to be fun. Kai Kara is especially for the division too. He hits hard, man. So it's going to be a good fight. I'll go with Kai Kara. I'll say it's flyweights. I'll go 30-27 decision for the New Zealander. So moving on to the next fight, man. Let me get that up real quick. We got Shane Young minus 325 taking on Austin Arnett plus 265. This is my first play of the night. Shane Young is half of my 3.4 unit parlay. This is a really good fight for me. And I got him at minus 270, by the way. So I beat the line by about 55 cents. There's just such a huge gap in power, volume. Shane Young's going to be, I mean, stylistically as well, Arnett is a very slow starter. Shane Young, if there's like the biggest prop to give him is his pace, his cardio. The dude has an iron chin too. I've seen him take some shots and just not be fazed by it at all. This dude's a wrecking machine. Like Austin Arnett, that Contender Series fight where he was like minus 200 or minus 300 against Brandon Davis there, and that was like a real like eye-opening, like, dude, this guy is not very good at all. And then he got smoked by Sandhagen, and then I want to say, and then he had the Humberto Bandone fight where again he started slow, and then Bandone he just blew his wad a little bit, and Arnett started to take over. And I've seen some people say that maybe he can take over on Shane Young here, man, but like, this dude's got like serious cardio. He can go all day. 15 minutes, that's nothing for him, man. He's not gonna. The thing about Arnett is, I joke about it a lot, but the dude's got pillow fists. If we're being honest, he's not gonna be able to gain the respect of Shane Young. Shane Young is just gonna be stalking him down. And in my opinion, he is going to knock out Austin Arnett in the first round. I think being a slow starter against a guy like this, I think it's going to. I don't think it's going to be very good for him, man. I think Shane Young, he came through for me against Lando. Obviously, this is a step up from that, but actually, I mean, it might not even be. I feel like Lando and Austin Arnett would have a close fight, if we're being honest. But the line's warranted on my boy Shane Young here, man. I think he has a very bright future in front of him. He came in short notice debut against Volkanovski, one of the brightest prospects in the division at the time. Took him a hard 3 rounds. So I think sky's the limit for this 25-year-old. I've seen him make big improvements. He's never been finished. I don't see a fluke KO happening here. I don't see him gassing. This is going to be an easy one. Shane Young, first round knockout, in my opinion.
Yeah, man, I've been talking a lot of crap in our group chat, but I mean, I got to go with Shane Young here. I don't think Austin Arnett's that good in my opinion. He's definitely one of the worst guys in the division, but I don't think Young's that good either, in my opinion either. I think what's going to happen is that Arnett's going to start slow, which he always does, and he has a really good chin too. I mean, I think he has a good chin. Sandhagen put him out, but Sandhagen's one of the best bantamweights in the division right now, so he's going to be probably a top 5 guy in the future. I think what's going to happen is Young's going to win the first round. He's going to win the second round, and Arnett's going to win the third round. And he's going to come back and possibly get him out of there. I don't think so, but I mean, I think Arnett's going to win the last round for sure. So I think it's going to be kind of not a close fight. I think Shane Young will win the first 2 rounds pretty convincingly, but yeah, man. I mean, I hope your cash plays, I hope your play cashes, but I'm not going to put the juice on Shane Young here. So I got Shane Young winning a decision, 29-28, but yeah, man, Austin Arnett could definitely take over in the third round. So next fight, man, we got this is a really good fight, and we got one of my favorite fighters, man, in the UFC, a guy that I'm really high on. We got Devontae Smith versus Maestro. I believe he changed his name to Dong Hong Ma, but yeah. So honestly, man, pre-tape and after you watching the tape, looking at the line, I thought that the line was off, and I thought maybe Maestro could be live. So I watched the tape, and he's a brawler, man. I mean, the guy's taking a lot of damage. You watch that fight with Dominic Steele, man. I know Dominic Steele was a way bigger guy, but damn, he took a lot of shots. He got dropped 3 times before the KO slam. I mean, he took a beating in that fight. He had some success. The second round was kind of close, but he took a beating in that fight. And then his next fight against Polo, he took another beating, but he had success in the fight. It was a back and forth fight, but both those fights, man, his chin, he took a lot of damage. I mean, even Brendan O'Reilly, man, was landing some in that fight, and I was like, wow. That was a 29-28. I mean, he definitely won the fight, but even though he took down Brendan O'Reilly, Riley kind of reversed him, and Riley just a jobber. Riley could have got on top and for a long time, but he just made a really bad mistake. I mean, Brendan O'Reilly is one of the worst fighters ever been in the UFC. But my point saying is that Maestro, man, he's a brawler. The guy has grappling. He's a black belt in judo, but he doesn't even use it in his fights. He didn't even use it against Damian Brown one time. I mean, we've already seen him, go for a takedown. I think once against Paul Reyes, he took him down. Then he took down O'Reilly, the Badger, but that guy's terrible, man. So I think he has to go out there and take Devontae Smith down, man. I mean, if he doesn't, if they brawl in the feet, yeah, he has a good chin, but I mean, he's taken so much damage. I think his chin's going to get cracked in this fight. I think Devontae Smith is a better striker. I think he's way faster. He has a huge speed advantage here. His jab is probably one of the best jabs in the UFC in the lightweight division, in my opinion. The striking is legit. He's definitely one of the best strikers in the division. He's a very good prospect. He's a finisher. My worry is that gets out of the first round, is his cardio, is he going to gas? Because the one time he gassed, he lost against John Gunther. And yeah, everyone wants to talk about the Gunther fight, which happened January 2017, a long time ago. But number one, he wasn't even training at Factory X. He was training at some no-name gym in Cleveland, Ohio. Now he's training at one of the best gyms in the UFC, in my opinion. And when you watch that fight, I mean, we talked about it when I broke down the Rosa fight. I mean, he beat his ass and they just blew his wad. I mean, he beat his ass, he gassed, and he just got taken down and he just quit. I mean, that was his first fight, man, a long time ago. And Gunther has very good cardio and a very good gas tank. Maestro definitely slows down this fight too. So I think if Devontae doesn't take him out in there in the first round, maybe possibly the second, Maestro could definitely take over, but I just don't think Maestro's going to use his grappling here. I mean, he has it in his back pocket, but the guy's a brawler, man, and he's a fan favorite. So I got Devontae Smith with the first round KO. The line is a little off for sure, so I'm not going to make fun of anyone that that plays Maestro here, but I just think Devontae Smith, man, has a very bright future, and I think it's going to take someone really good to beat him, man. Maybe Gregor. Or even Trinaldo. I actually taped the Trinaldo fight because I thought that was going to happen. I actually was going to bet Trinaldo, which is kind of crazy because I'm really high on Devontae Smith. But I think Trinaldo would have beat him. But this is different, man. I think Kim's going to go out there and try to brawl and get knocked out. So I got Devontae Smith with the first round KO. What about you?
Yeah, man, I pretty much agree with you for the most part. There was times this past week I thought about taking the shot on Maestro Kim, but fact is, as long as this fight plays out on the feet, I kind of just see Devontae Smith beating his head in, man. He's the much better striker, way more athletic, explosive, more power. He's actually a pretty legit prospect. He had that loss against Gunther that everyone always brings up. But the fact is, that was like a first L thing, like a tough stylistic matchup for him, man. Because like if that was the way he was going to lose to Gunther, I mean that was going to be the way he lost to Gunther. Gunther takes the beating up front and kind of comes back towards the end, but. Looking back, Devontae Smith has made improvements. 2 fights after that Gunther fight, he actually went out there and got a 4th round finish, just to show that he can go out there in those later rounds and get the win that way. And obviously making his UFC debut, props to you on that bet. He smoked a Rosa in 46 seconds, man. That was nice. But think about Maestro, bro. Like. This is I've been thinking about this one for DraftKings and I have both guys on DraftKings, both sides, because I feel like the line is a little bit off. I do give Maestro a little bit better chance than the odds indicate. But the thing is, if Devontae Smith does win, dude's probably getting a first or second round knockout, probably exceeding 100 points, and I really don't want to miss out on that. But the thing is, if Maestro wins here, I mean, at 7,600, that's looking pretty good, especially since if Maestro wins, it's probably going to be a wrestling-based game plan, and all those takedowns are going to wrap up, possibly a late submission as well. So this is one of my bigger DraftKings fights to look out for. But, I mean, the guy's on a 3-fight win streak. Maestro's out there winning UFC fights, so who knows, man? I wouldn't take the juice on Devontae Smith here. Personally, from a betting perspective, I'd rather just sit back, and then from a DraftKings perspective, take a little bit of both guys. So great fight. I'm really looking forward to it, but I think I'm going to be passing on Maestro from a betting perspective. Although I really got close to taking him, and I think you did too at one point.
Yeah, honestly, I thought about betting, Kim, but after the tape, I got to go with Devontae Smith. I thought about playing Devontae Smith in distance, but I mean, I'm not going to play him minus 130. I think he was minus 115, but yeah, I think if he doesn't get him out of there in the first couple of rounds, he could definitely slow and get finished. But he just has a huge advantage on the feet, and I just don't think Maestro's going to go out there. And if I knew for a fact that Maestro uses grappling here, like, I'd probably pick him. But the guy's a brawler, man. So that's just what I see.
He really can take a big shot though. Like that Polo War, I mean, one of the best fights of all time. He ate a lot of fucking shots, and I'd say I think Polo might even be a bigger hitting, harder hitter than Devontae Smith.
Well, I don't know about that, but I mean,
Polo might be one of the biggest guys in the division.
Yeah, the thing is though, he's taken 2 beatings, man. He's taken so much damage against Dominic Seals and so much against Polo. So I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, against who though? Damian Brown. Damian Brown's no slouch, but I mean, come on, man. I mean, freaking, what's his name again? Who did he just beat? The freaking jab? Oh, Gomi. Come on, man. Gomi's one of the laughing stocks of all time. Brendan O'Reilly's terrible, man. Like terrible. I mean, you could say Devontae Smith, he beat Julian Rosa and Lowry. Lowry's definitely probably the best guy he's ever fought, but I mean, it's honestly, Devontae Smith has fought cans, and Maestro's probably fought better competition, but I just think it's going to stand the feet and he's going to get knocked out. But I mean, I still think Maestro is a live dog, because if he gets out of the first, he could definitely slow down.
For sure, at plus 200 or better, I wouldn't blame anyone for taking the shot.
No, I don't follow anybody. I was thinking about it.
So on to the next fight, man. I'll let you start with this one because you got the play. Jimmy the Brute Crute, minus 135, taking on Smiling Sam Alvey, plus 115. Tell the people what's up.
Yeah, man. So I got Crute, man. I got 3 units at minus 125, and I like this guy. He's 9-0, man. He's undefeated. I liked his debut in the Contender Series. I mean, he went out there and knocked out Bertor. He took some shots. He has a good chin, man. But I think this guy has a really good all-around game. Sam Alvey, in my opinion, is at the end of his career. He's on the decline. You could say Sam Alvey, has a good chin. He has knockout power, but the guy has no volume. He's slow. He just got knocked out against a fossil, in my opinion. And I mean, yeah, Little Nog is definitely one of the probably a Hall of Fame fighter, but the guy is at the end of his career too. And Alvey just got KO'd, man, pretty bad in that fight. And he's taking a lot of damage too, man. I mean, Alvey's taking a lot of damage in this fights, and Jim Crute, man, I think he's better everywhere in this fight, man. I think he has a better cardio. I think he has really good pressure. I think he has good striking. I think, honestly, his last fight, we didn't see that much striking because I think he wanted to prove a point, man, against Paul Craig and tap him out. I mean, that fight, honestly, a lot of it was on the ground, and I was surprised that Paul Craig took him down, but Sam Alvey's not going to take Jim Crute down. I think, Alvey does have very good takedown defense, but I think Cruz could take him down for sure. I actually think Cruz going to take him down. And Sam Alvey's the middleweight. I mean, the guy should not be fighting at 205. He's slow, man. I mean, he's kind of chubby in my opinion too. Jim Cruz, the bigger guy for sure, and he's fighting at home. Honestly, I thought that the Ryan Spann fight was going to be easier. I think Ryan Spann's not good. I think he's a chinny joke in my opinion. I don't think he's good at all. I think Sam Alvey's better than him. I'll say that. But I still think that Jim Crute's better wherever the fight goes. I think Jim Crute could definitely win a decision. I think he could knock him out. I don't know if he's going to tap him out because, Sam Alvey does have, pretty good submission defense and a pretty good takedown defense. But I still think that Crute could definitely take him down. Crute has more volume. Crute, is the ferocious guy. And you watched the stare downs today too. I mean, damn, he's way bigger than Sam Alvey, dude. So I got Jim Crute, and I think he's definitely going to be one of the best prospects in this division. So I got Jim Crute. I think he's going to put him out. I think Jim Crute is going to go out there and get a third round TKO. I mean, don't forget, one thing real quick. The guy had a very close fight with Rashad Evans. I mean, Alex Nicholson. Nicholson, I thought, won that fight too. So the guy's been in some close fights. That even the John Vellante fight. I mean, you're going out there and losing or winning a split against one of the biggest jokes in the division. I mean, John could have won that fight too. I mean, that was a very close fight. So I like Sam Alvey. He's a really nice guy, but I think he's at the end of his career, man. I think the new breed Jim Crute is going to go out there and show him what's up. So I got Jim Crute, got 3 in spot 25. Let's go.
This is a real interesting one, man. Jim Crute is still a very young, inexperienced green fighter, and Sam Alvey is the kind of guy you really do not want to make a mistake against on the feet. And you mentioned the wrestling. I actually don't think Jim Crute will be able to take down Sam Alvey. I think that takedown defense will hold up, and I think the majority, like 99% of this fight, will probably take place on the feet. And Sam Alvey, let's be honest, man, the guy is, I mean, he kind of just sits back and waits for the perfect counter opportunity. He's not going to go in there and style on you by any means. Jim Crute's going to take it to Sam Alvey on the feet. And the thing is, I feel like Jim Crute probably is rightly favored. He probably, if he wants to actually play it smart and avoid the power, I think he can probably pick apart Alvey. I mean, he's not the hardest guy in the world to go in there and just kind of kick his legs and move around and jab him up for a few rounds. It's not the hardest guy in the world to do that too, and Crute definitely can take that route. But if he tries to brawl and get silly with Sam Alvey, like, he will make you pay, man. Especially a young 23-year-old. I mean, this is the biggest fight of Crute's. This is a huge step up from Paul Craig, in my opinion. I know he was able to take down Paul Craig, but I don't know. I mean, can Paul Craig really wrestle? He for sure can grapple, but Paul Craig can't really wrestle. And I don't know. Paul Craig's one of the biggest jokes of all time in the UFC. So look into that all you want. And that was a sweaty fight, man. All those Jim Crute bettors were sweating in that Paul Craig fight. You can't deny that. But much different, interesting fight here with Sam Alvey, man. I think the line's probably just about right. I think Jim Crute should probably be a very slight favorite. So it's a tough one, man. I've been going back and forth, but team bro picks, I'll go with Jim Crute to get the victory for you here. I'll say Crute wins a very razor hometown split decision, 29-28, Jim Crute. So moving on to the next fight of the night, we got here we go. We got Montana De La Rosa minus 255 taking on Nadia Kassem plus 215. If you guys want to take a look at one of the worst opening lines of 2019 so far, Montana De La Rosa opened a minus 120 favorite. I got as much on it as I could. Then it moved up to minus 150. I got some more on that, and now it's sitting around minus 250. I have 3.75 units on Montana De La Rosa to beat Kassem here, man. Like, holy shit. Nadia Kassem, in my opinion, I don't know if Alex Chambers is still in the UFC or not, but if she got cut after that last loss against Kassem, or no, her last loss was against Souza. But I don't know if Chambers is still in the UFC, but Kassem might be one of the worst fighters in the UFC, man. That she has virtually no grappling. The striking, she's moving up to 125 pounds here. Firstly, we'll see about that. I didn't even think she was that big at straw weight. Virtually no takedown defense. I think Montana De La Rosa probably is gonna come in here, single leg her, take her back, probably get it done pretty easily, man. I just Nadia's training over with the Mokhtarian brothers, Simone and Askan. We know how those guys have done in the UFC thus far. One of the weaker gyms out there in the Australia, New Zealand scene. And looking at the record too, man, like this is a huge step up for Nadia Kassem. If you look at her regional scene opponents, combined record of 0 wins, 11 losses, and then the Alex Chambers fight, she was like 5-4 at the time. My lord, this is a huge step up. Nadia Kassem ain't ready, man. As soon as she gets taken down and it hits the mat, she's in a world for trouble, in my opinion. So. And you know, if she's able to keep it on the feet, I think De La Rosa might actually be able to outstrike her too. Kassem for sure has gone in there and starched these 0-0 fighters in 18 seconds, and yeah, I guess that looks good and all that. And she has great management. I don't know how she got in the UFC, but this is the wrong one for her, man. Montana's about to come into enemy territory and make her tap out. So De La Rosa for the win, man. I'll say first round submission.
Yeah, so pre-tape, I actually thought that, Nadia could be live for sure, but I mean, she's not that good. You're right. I do think she's the bigger fighter though, man. If you even look at the stare downs today, she's bigger than Del Rosa, man, and she was fighting at 115. So, her striking, I mean, yeah, she has success in the feet against probably the worst fighter ever, to be honest. Probably the worst women's fighter to ever be in the UFC in Alex Chambers. And that was a pretty close fight. I think she definitely lost the first round, but she won the second and third round. Del Rosa, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think she's that good either. I mean, I know she's, her losses against good competition, but I mean, she had a very close fight with Rachel the Quitter Ostovich. You watched that fight. That was 1-1 go in the third, and Ostovich got her down, almost tapped her out, and then just showed that terrible fight IQ and quit like she always does. But yeah, I think Montana's a better striker. I think it's close on the feet. I'll say that. But she has a big advantage on the grappling. I think that Nadia doesn't know how to stuff a takedown. Alex Chambers took it down about 4 or 5 times, and I think if Montana goes to that route, it will be easy. But if they but if they strike on the feet, man, I think it could be a close, back and forth fight. But I'll go Montana De La Rosa by decision. I think that she's going to win the decision in Nadia's hometown. And one thing I want to mention too, which I actually just found about yesterday, is Nadia, man, like she's coming off a couple bad injuries. I mean, she had a serious back injury. And she said, I think she was talking about on James Lynch's interview, but that she barely just got cleared training 2 months ago. So that was a pretty serious injury, and I think she got in a car accident too, and she hurt her hand. So once I heard that, I mean, yeah, that was a big red flag too. So I bet that makes you more confident than you already are. So next fight we got Ronnie Yahya versus Ricky Simone, and this is a great fight. Actually, I might have one more play, and it's probably going to be on Ricky Simone. I think he's going to win this fight. I think he's a really good fighter. I think he has really good pressure, a good pace, good cardio, good chin. His striking is definitely improved. His striking is not legit or anything, but it's definitely better than Ronnie Yahya's. He's a grappler. I mean, the guy trains, with Chael Sonnen and Austin Vanderford and all those guys out in Oregon. He's a very good grappler. Has very good control. He had a crazy fight with Merab. I thought that was a 1-1 fight, and I thought that he was definitely getting the better of Merab in the third round. A lot of people are saying that Merab was kicking his ass and all that. I don't think so, man. I mean, Merab got him down, but Merab didn't control him at all, and Ricky Simone choked his ass out. I don't care what anyone says. That was a finish. So if they fight again, I'll pick and bet Ricky Simone. And then, the Montel Jackson fight, that was a very good fight, and that was first all time for Montel, Ricky Simone really looked good in that fight. He can eat a shot. His chin's legit, man. And I don't know if Ronnie Yahya could eat that punch that he did. I will say this though, Ronnie Yahya's striking's improved. I think he hurt Luke Sanders on the feet. But then again, Luke Sanders and Henry Brow are two of the worst fighters in the division. And I don't even want to talk about that fight next week, to be honest. But we're gonna have to break down, pick one jobber in that fight. So I don't know. I might just pass on that whole. I might just pick no one in that fight. But anyways, one thing about Simone that I'm a little worried about is that he's going to be playing, I feel like, in Ronnie's guard. Like, I mean, Ronnie's ground game's so good. Like, I mean, I know that Simone has really good control, but I hope Simone just keeps it on the feet because if he does, I think he can get a knockout and hurt him on the feet. But, I mean, if they play on the ground, it's going to get interesting for sure. I don't think Simone. He's been tapped out before a long time ago. I hope he plays it smart, man. If he goes to the ground, just control. Just please don't get subbed. But I'm gonna go with Ricky Simone. I think he's gonna get a finish here. I know Ron Yahya is super tough to finish, and he's been on a really good streak. I think he's only lost one out of his last 10 fights. But to be honest, I mean, a lot of the guys he's been fighting, like they're not like the best. I mean, even Joe Soto beat this guy. I mean, Joe Soto's come on, man. I mean, that guy's. I mean, I guess he had a good career, but like I don't know, man. The guy's just kind of a bum in my opinion now. I feel like, and I mean that guy beat just Ronnie Yahya, and yeah, Yahya beat Henry Baronis, who's a jobber. He beat Russell Doan, who's a jobber. I mean, come on, man. Simone's beating some pretty good guys, and he's 2-0 in the UFC, and so I got to go with the younger guy. I'm gonna go with Simone, but even though I might bet him, it's not. It's a risky fight just because Yahya has one of the best ground games at 135 for sure. But he's getting older too, man. So I'm going to go with the younger guy. What about you?
Man, I would argue that Ricky Simone, with only being in the UFC for about a year now, already has better wins than Hani Yahya does in the UFC. You kind of brushed over that, man. As his UFC record, he's fought Luke Sanders, Russell Doan, Henry Briones, Joe Soto, Tanaka, Matthew Lopez, Kanahara, Johnny Bedford twice. Yeah, not the most impressive list of names there. And Ricky Simone, man, two UFC wins over like two of the best prospects in the division against Merab and Montel Jackson. Just saw Montel Jackson absolutely go out and starch Brian Kelleher. That shows you how solid Ricky Simone's chin is. Dude can eat a shot, but that's not what he has to worry about here, man. What he has to worry about here is the same method in which he lost his one and only his only losing fight was by submission, and he needs to learn from that and actually use his wrestling defensively here. He needs to keep this fight on the feet, not let Yahya get him down or pull guard or do any of his tricky bullshit with him to get it down there. I think if Simone uses his wrestling in reverse, keeps this fight on the feet, he's just going to have a bigger presence, man. He's going to be the faster guy. He can probably jab up Yahya. He can probably kick his legs off. Faster, more athletic, better striker, in my opinion. I know Yahya, I believe Yahya is like a black belt in Muay Thai or some kind of striking or some shit, but let's be honest, he's not the best fighter in the world. And going back to that Joe Soto fight, man, every once in a while, Hani Yahya comes out and just looks like shit. I mean, it doesn't happen often, but if it does happen, if Yahya comes out here with one of those unmotivated performances against Ricky Simone will clean him out nicely and probably finish him early. But if we get the best version of Yahya, I think this fight ends up going 3 rounds with Ricky Simone probably outstriking him for the most part, and he could probably get those takedowns too. I mean, I do think highly enough of him. He's solid enough to where he can get those takedowns and do the right thing to avoid the subs and the bottom game of Hani Yahya. So I think Ricky Simone puts on a mature top 15 performance here. I'm going to go with Ricky Simone, 30-27 unanimous decision. We on the next one?
Yeah, I think it's co-main event.
We got the co-main biggest favorite on the card. We got Israel Stylebender Adesanya, minus 630, taking on Anderson the Spider Silva, plus 465. Yeah, I did it, guys. I parlayed the minus 600 Israel Adesanya. I got Israel Adesanya and Shane Young. Parlayed them for minus 170. That's 3.4 units to win 2 units. I don't got to say much here, man. This is a passing of the torch. Israel is going to be the younger guy with the better timing, more power. I mean, this is there's nothing more to say than this is a passing of the torch. I mean, we thought Anderson Silva was a million years old a couple years ago when he was fighting Derek Brunson and Michael Bisping, and now it's been longer of a time now. It's been a couple of years since that Brunson fight, that last fight. Who knows how Anderson's going to look in there. One thing I will say, he has had that full training camp for this one, and he actually did bring in, what's his name? Is it Alex Pereira, the last guy to knock out Israel Adesanya in kickboxing? Anderson brought him into his camp, so I don't know if that's like a mind games thing or he's trying to get something out of him when it comes to Israel's style, but either way, Anderson seems to be taking this one seriously, but dude, it's just not going to be enough, man. I really hope, and I do truly think that Israel is thinking this way. I do truly hope Israel comes out absolutely like ruthlessly aggressive and doesn't give Anderson any kind of respect, man. He needs to go out there and do his thing on Silva, and if he does, he's gonna make quick work, man. I don't know. Anderson Silva's chin isn't really looking the best these days. You know, he's kind of getting dropped by a lot of people. That Bisping fight was just all kinds of sketchy. I do think Anderson Silva won that Bisping fight, but holy shit, I thought he was going to win it like convincingly. And dude, father time's a thing. He's like, what, 44, 43 years old now, and Israel Adesanya is a man that cannot be stopped. Dude is like seriously the next generation. And I don't know if Anderson's going to be going for takedowns here, but either way, I mean, have you seen Israel's takedown defense the last couple fights? Like literally top notch, some of the most elite shit I've seen, like almost comparable to like Robert Whittaker or old Robbie Lawler's takedown defense, like some of the best takedown defense you'll see. So I'm not worried about that at all. I think this fight just plays out on the feet, and the younger guy is going to piece up Anderson. You're going to see limbs flying from all angles. It's going to be as exciting as shit while it lasts, but I don't see that chin holding up. I think Israel makes quick work. If Anderson happens to go, actually last and be able to eat the shots, then Israel's just going to win a 30-26 decision here. So, I mean, the line is rightful. I don't see Adesanya losing this fight. So I'll say first round knockout for the win.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this breakdown short. I also got Stylebender by first round knockout. This guy's really good. He's definitely going to be fighting for the title, probably his next fight. And he's improved so much, man. He's definitely, one of the best fighters in the division. Anderson Silva's one of the GOATs, but he's done, in my opinion. He's at the end of his career. He doesn't have a chin that much anymore. And I think he's going to get KO'd stiff here in the first round. So I got Stylebender. And, yeah, man, just like you said, passing the torch. So next fight, we got the main event. We got, one of the best fights, man, this year. We got Kelvin Gastelum versus Robert Whittaker. And this is my second play of the night, and I got 3 units on my boy Kelvin at plus 230. I'm not going to sit here and disrespect Robert Whittaker because, he's a champ. He's one of the most underrated champs, in my opinion, in UFC right now. I don't know why he's pound for pound, 12? He should be in the top 5. The run that he's been on, man, ever since he lost that fight against Wonderboy, I mean, at 185, man, his run is – and he's undefeated, man. I mean, I've actually bet on him so much, too. Like, I bet on him versus Souza. I bet on him versus Brunson. I bet on him versus Romero the first fight. I'm 3-0 betting Whittaker. I mean, the dude's a beast. The guy has such a good uppercut. He's striking legit. Great chin. Good fight IQ. But one thing I got to talk about right here on the podcast, man, is that, last fight against Romero, I thought he lost that fight. I thought Romero won that fight. I thought he won the third, fourth, fifth round. And he put a beating on him, man. I mean, Romero – damn, man. I mean, I think that, Whittaker took a lot of damage in that fight. I mean, yeah, he hasn't fought since, man, since what, June or July? And yeah, it's a long time, but how's he going to look here? And this is the first time he's fighting the guy that's faster than him, in my opinion, too. All the guys that Whittaker's been fighting, he's had the speed advantage. This is the first time he's fighting a guy that has the speed advantage here, man. Kelvin, Kelvin, Stylebender, and Whittaker are the 3 best guys at 185, in my opinion. And Kelvin's one of the best strikers in the division by far, just like Whittaker and Stylebender, and I think it's going to be a really good matchup on the feet. These are 2 heavy hitters, 2 guys that are really good striking, 2 guys that have great cardio. Kelvin's been 5 rounds too, and he actually won the 4th and 5th round versus Nagy. And I mean, Kelvin's only lost 3 times, and he has a 16-3 record. He's lost to Tyron Woodley, the champ, at 170. That was a very close foot decision. He lost to Weidman, and I mean, the Weidman fight, man, I think that he just looked up to him too much. They were friends, and you could tell, man, even at the stare downs and stuff, he was just looking up to him too much. And that was his first L time for 185. He's 4-1. He knocked out Tim Kennedy, knocked out Belfort, knocked out Bisping in 2 minutes. His left hand is probably his best weapon on the feet. I think he's super technical on the feet. I think he has good pressure. He's aggressive. I think he has a great chin. I think Whittaker has a great chin too. I think Whittaker has really good striking. He has great cardio. But honestly, man, just my two big reasons to fight, like I just mentioned, are that I think he took too much damage from Romero's and to catch up to him. I think he's fighting the faster guy, and I think Kelvin Gastelum, man, has has a speed advantage here, and I think his striking's legit. I mean, a lot of people are acting like Whittaker's going to go out there and start this guy, but I think it's going to be a back and forth fight. It could definitely be a war. It could go 5 rounds, but I'm going with Kelvin Gastelum by a knockout here. I think he's going to get him out of there, man, in the second round. Whittaker will be back. He's definitely one of the best fighters of all time. But I just think Kelvin's weight class is middleweight. I think he needs to just quit the whole 170 thing. He needs to stay at this weight class, and I think Kelvin and Stylebender would be a very good fight too. I'm not going to say who I'm going to pick because I can't. I obviously can't tape it right now, but I just think, man, that damage, man, is going to catch up, and Kelvin, his speed advantage is going to be big here. I think they're both fast, but I just think he's going to be the faster guy. And I mean, his technical striking, man, like his combos, like the way he throws his jab and his left hand, man, are legit, dude. So I'm going to go with my boy Kelvin for the second round knockout here. What about you?
Man, I agree with a lot of what you said for sure, and I do think at current odds, I think it's probably Gastelum or pass, man. Like, I don't know why on earth you would ever want to bet a number like -250 against a guy like Kelvin Gastelum. Robert Whittaker's the man, of course, for sure, and I am going to pick him to win this fight, and I do think he's probably going to reign for a long time, but I do think if anybody in the division is going to beat him, it's probably going to be either Kelvin Gastelum or Israel Adesanya. Kelvin Gastelum is he's literally one of the best boxers in the UFC, man. Like, his hands are so sharp. And I find it so interesting how a lot of people say he's not that great in the gym, but when it comes to the fights in the octagon, he's like one of the best in the world, which is funny, man. I don't know what that has to do with, but either way, I know I did see that he has a little bit of ringworm on his face. I don't know how that's going to affect him. I wouldn't really look into that at all, though, man. So I know what you said about the speed. You think he has a speed advantage, but I don't know. I think it's probably about even. These guys mirror each other in a lot of ways, and I think the speed is one of those ways. I think they're probably just as fast as one another, which, I mean, Whittaker, Kelvin might be the fastest guy that Whittaker has had to fight, but Whittaker is probably one of the fastest guys Kelvin has had to fight too. This is going to be a really, really tough fight for both guys. And I like how you mentioned that Magny fight, how he won the 4th and 5th round there. A lot of people going into that thought it was going to be all Kelvin early and Neil Magny late, but it was kind of the other way around. It was Magny early and then Kelvin late. So I think that disprove any kind of cardio allegations, whatever you want to say. If Kelvin has suspect cardio, he definitely doesn't. If this fight goes 5 rounds, I think both guys are going to be sitting pretty by the end of it, cardio-wise. I don't know, man. I just slightly lean Whittaker to get the job done here, man. I think he has more tools on the feet. Like, Kelvin is an amazing boxer, but I think Whittaker has more to offer. Like, one of the nastiest head kicks in the entire sport, bro. Like, Whittaker is just the man is a legend for sure, and I don't think I can pick against him ever. So, although I do think it's close, and it's probably Kelvin or pass at this current price, I'm going to go with the reigning Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker to get the W here, man. But we'll see what happens. It's very interesting. One of the best fights of the year. I can't wait to see how it plays out.
Two things I want to mention real quick. One thing is that Whittaker fights with his hands down, man. So I don't know how that's going to benefit this fight. I mean, I hope he fight. I mean, I hope he doesn't fight with this. I hope he fights with his hands down. So Kelvin, could obviously get the win, which I think he's going to do. But if he doesn't fight with his hands down, that's going to help Whittaker. But he fights with his hands down, man, a lot. So we'll see what happens. And then also, Kelvin doesn't have to worry about the takedown here. Whittaker's not going to shoot. Whittaker's only going to shoot if he gets hurt, like he tried to shoot against Yoel. So there's no threat to the takedown. These guys are going to, bang on the feet. I don't even know. Kelvin's probably not going to take him down. I mean, Kelvin has a black belt in BJJ. I mean, he has a good ground game as too. But I don't think this fight's hitting the mat. So I think this fight only hits the mat if, Kelvin hurts Whittaker and, puts on the ground and pound. But anyway, just want to say that. So we're done with the card. We'll talk about our bets real quick before we go. 3 units on Jim Crute at -125 and 3 units on Kelvin at +230. And as of right now, I'm done. We'll see what happens. What about you, Kelvin?
I have 3.75 units on Montana De La Rosa. I got some of that on the opener at minus 120, some more of it on minus 150. Then I have the 3.4 unit parlay of Shane Young and Israel Adesanya. If I'm adding any more plays, Luigi Buren is definitely on my mind. There's a couple other props that might be on my mind, but we'll see. I'm probably going to be doing a max of 3 plays, but of course, follow me on Twitter at MMA Killing if you want to see what I bet.
Yeah, man. So next week's gonna be a very good card. Can't wait. That's a really good card. That's a lot of a lot of good fights in that card. I already have one play in that card, and I can't wait to talk about it. And I hope everyone catches and put us in the comments below, man. What do you guys think of this fight of the main event, Kelvin versus Whittaker? Who do you guys got, and who you guys got in every other fight? And we'll be back next week. We'll probably be back next Wednesday. We're probably gonna try to do these podcasts every Wednesday. So later, guys.